start something right now. Democrats don't seem like they got a plan. Republicans don't seem like they got a plan for us. So how the hell you gonna vote for them? Make them earn that vote. They can start today. They ain't got it yet.
Good morning, all you red-blooded, hard-working American citizens. Welcome back to my table. What's it take to get people to want to group together and stand up for their rights? This is a little bit about my privacy rights. As minute as it is, but it's everywhere. Telling you folks, it's not going to stop with this. It actually literally is starting with this when it comes to your privacy. And I am so super psyched for the future. Anywho, my battles. Issues I have trying to keep my inalienable rights in this time. So, I got an issue. You know how everybody wants to swipe your card? I know for a fact that your driver's license has, well, your address on it, your picture on it, your age on it, buttload of other things. Let me see. So then it's got your driver's license number on it. It has what classification when it comes to that star, which matters too, folks. All this information, right? I'll show you. All mine on my driver's license. If it'll focus. Anywho, I don't necessarily care about that if somebody sees it. I don't even care about if you see it. Right? I don't care about if somebody knows that I drink a Twisted Teas. Hopefully, I'll get them to sponsor me, although I got issues. I'm going to tell them if they want me to sponsor them, they're going to have to send me 5 cases of the frosted cherry. And I'm going to go around and introduce that flavor to everybody I know. Because I did with the raspberry. And now you can finally find it at every store. I started off ordering a case from a store that didn't even have it. It was just right down the road from where I work at. And I was like, can you get me a case? Like, I'll buy the whole thing. And they're like, yeah. Anywho, not trying to run an ad. I want to talk about my invasion of privacy. Now on the back side of this card, you got the little swipey thing. Little swipey thing, come to find out there's 2 actual levels of that swipey thing. Now, if I go into a Speedway or a Duke and Duchess, I have to let them swipe my card with, well, what we do know is 2 levels of information about me. Right? The first level is all this information you can read on the front. The second level stupid stuff like your social security number, which allows different types of stores to be able to get different types of, like, whatevers to catch, like ID fraud and turn in frauds at retailers and just try to catch criminal type shit. Although I don't hear about the criminals getting caught when they do it. So, whatever. That's the reason why they have to swipe all your personal information. Now, the second level, I'm telling you, it's got your social security number, and probably that goes into a file with everything you ever purchased in however long from that store, right? They're collecting all that data every time you let them swipe your card. Anywho, so let me take you here. This place, Duke and Duchess, in Ontario, Ohio, was my first issue. So I go in there. They're like, we got to ID you. I'm like, okay, fine. So I pull out my ID and I hold it. It started off, you can read my age because that's what you need for this purchase. They're like, no, I got to swipe it. And I'm like, the first person was cool. They looked at my age. They typed in the stuff to their computer. And they accepted it. So then I go in there again, do the same thing. And the lady was like, but I got to swipe it. So then I was like, all you got to do is look at the ID and the age. And she's like, she was older. She's like, well, I can't see it. So then I handed it to her with the understanding she's going to look at it so she can see my date of birth. And she took that bad boy and swoop, swiped it into her system. I was planning on buying gas, and I was planning on buying 2 twisted teas. And I looked at her like she handed me my ID back, and I'm all like, she's like, what? It's a habit. So then I put my ID back in my pocket. I said, you can cancel that order. And I left. First engagement with it. So, feeling like my rights are being violated. So then, right here, the second engagement, was at this Duke and Duchess. Not but probably a month later. So, I go into this stinking place. Oh, you can't rotate. So I go into this stinking place. Small town, right? About 15 minutes away from me. And I actually had a debate with a younger guy about why I don't want them taking their computer system to have all my personal data. And this guy, well, then a patriotic, conservative Republican comes in the store that I knew. I didn't say anything to him, but he came in and went and got what he was getting, and he was walking up, and me and this kid be talking about, well, I'm telling him exactly why I don't want his computer system to have as much data as possible off of my driver's license. And he looks at the other guy that I knew that came in the store, and he's like, hey, this guy doesn't want me to swipe his card for his purchase. Do you have a problem with it? And the dude looks at me, he knows me. And he's like, nah, man, I don't have no problem with it. But I understand how people would. So I looked at that kid and I left. At that juncture, what I have not done since was go spend my money at a Duke and Dutchess. Because I'm like, okay, Dutchess be out. Now, recently, very recently, like last week, I went to this Speedway off of 97, and you know, it really sucks because this is like 5 minutes down the road from me. Major place, has most everything I want. I go in there and spend a solid at least $200 every week, at least, of my hard-earned money. So I went in there to pick up about 14 gallons of kerosene at $6 a pop. And I was grabbing a couple twisted teas. So the first time that I was denied, I still got the kerosene. But the kid asked me, he's like, you got your ID? And I see the sign hanging right there. I'm like, no, I don't. And he's like, I can't sell it to you. And I'm like, okay. Which is fine. The way he approached that, based off of I see the sign. So I was like, alright, fine. They're getting specific on IDs, and they got ID everybody, no matter how much gray hair you got, or how many wrinkles you got. They got an ID for alcohol and cigarettes or whatever. Grabbed my kerosene, went to the other spot. Grabbed my twisted teas. Okay, I go home. So, the next time I went to Speedway, I made sure before I left the house, I grabbed my ID. I knew I was going to get kerosene. I knew I was going to buy a couple twisted teas. So, I had my ID. I go up to the register. And the lady be like, I need to see your ID. So I'm like, okay. So I pull it out. And pretty much, right around there, you can see my date of birth. And I held it just as so. And she's like, I gotta scan it. And I'm like, you can't look at the date of birth and the picture until I'm old enough? And this woman started tripping on me, just going off. I'm blind, was her excuse. And this is bull crap. I'm tired of this. She going off on me because other people got an issue with it too, I know. So, as she's going off on me, a kid, a fellow worker, was coming up, and I'm like, well, can he look at the age if you're blind? And she's like, I'm not doing this. And she started pulling the Twisted Tea cans off, like pulling them down, like, I'm not selling this. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, fine, fine, fine. So then I didn't get my kerosene from there. And I walked out just like, holy shit. Now there's some things. The woman who runs that place, store manager, I seen her like her first week of working there with the company. So, I like to think we built some sort of relationship. There's another young lady that works there that I don't mind seeing periodically. Uh, I like to think she's a friend of mine. So then every chance I could get, go in there and be like, oh, hey, how you doing? And catch up real quick while she's ringing me out on some stuff. Whatever. But I can't go there anymore. I gave it a third chance. I only gave Dukes or Dutches 2 chances. And now I know. I gave Speedway just because of the people that work there, the non-communist conforming people, I think. But they're still doing their job. Anywho, I went in there and I specifically, I grabbed my 2 Twisted Teas, gonna buy my kerosene. I went up and specifically asked the store manager. I'm like, okay, I need to come have a clear understanding of this. So in order for me to purchase these 2 Twisted Teas, you have to scan my driver's license, or you just have to look at the date of birth and punch it into the computer. She looked at me just like, we have to scan it in order to get the thing off the screen, is exactly what she said. And I'm like, okay. So I walked back to the cooler, put my Twisted Teas back, and I walked out, and sure as shit didn't buy kerosene from there again. Or, like I did the first time. Because now I know it's confirmed. You go to a Speedway, you want to buy tobacco or do. You have to let them scan your driver's license, which has a lot of personal information. So I did some searching around. And, good question. What happens when they scan your ID? Now, this was published in 2022. Relatively recently. Less than a year ago. And this article, which was actually at the top of the search, it come up, and if you read it, it's all like, nothing to see here, nothing to worry about, it's fine, and only really tell you about the first layer of that swipey thing, because there's 2 layers, I guess. I just learned that. So, because I don't just obtain information from one source, I do my due diligence and look around, knowing that the first page of information is bought and paid for, so I scroll a little bit. And then I pop in on, just another source that actually tells you, okay, I'm not a reader, bear with me. Bamboozled. What the barcode on your driver's license reveals about you and why it matters. So, right here is an article that was written back in 2015, which was a while ago, folks. seeing, and it tells you all sorts of different reasons and all sorts of different ways companies are using your personal information, but it all links to your social security number. Very good read. Definitely, if you want to learn something about how your privacy is just being overran. But the main moral ending, what you should get out of this is, okay, Big Brother is watching for sure. And we're not sure we have a complaint about it. What we do have a problem with is when the watchers aren't being forthright and transparent about when they scan, why they scan, what information they get from the scan, and how they secure your information. We all know this thing is happening, folks. It's part of the reason why I'm so super psyched for the future. Anywho, every chance I get to fight against what I call repression and an invasion of my inalienable rights, right, based off of the Constitution, I definitely am going to do it. It leaves me jobless, but I am by all means not sad about that. It leaves me to where my choices of shopping are limited, more limited now than before, which is fine. I choose to have it that way because I insist on not getting along to go along with this crap anymore. Now, if you would like the opportunity to have somebody that's gonna fight for you compared to, well, it took the Democrats and Republicans to get us in this shit fuck to begin with. I'm an independent. I'm standing up for my rights. And if you put your support in me, I'll stand up for yours too. Good luck to all, and each their own. It is definitely a new day.